Hey, and welcome to Cinemondo with Kathy and Melanie from Pertese. Reviews. Exactly. So I basically am a student of Melanie's. I am inviting my teacher over to teaching about Indian films.
I'm absolutely loving doing these series
So fun.
of classic movie reviews.
Yes.
And when Kathy mentioned talking about the film 96, I was like, I would love to revisit that movie. It's one of my all-time favorites.
No, and you said you wanted to do this after all your other recordings so that you wouldn't have to worry about what happens to your makeup when you cry again.
I know, because I might start crying. Like,
it was a very cry movie.
I think this was maybe the third time that I've seen the film all the way through. And I definitely cried at the end. I mean, it's, I still know what's going to happen, and yet when it happens. And when you mentioned it, I said, I'm choking up just thinking about one scene, and that was him putting the clothes into the suitcase and shutting the door. So.
That just
okay. So I mean, Vijay Sethupathi is one of my favorite actors.
Oh my God!
In all of Indian cinema, we're not just talking about Tamil cinema. I mean, all of Indian cinema, and I absolutely love. I mean, I think he is known. He does a great villain, right? Like
yes, he does.
Exceptional doing villains, but this is the softer side, right?
It was.
This. I mean, he has such range. He's also played a trans woman. I mean,
that was one of my favorite roles. I have to say that was one of my favorites because I thought Super Deluxe was amazing. It felt so contemporary, so like edgy. Amazing. Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah. And it had Fahad Fawcett in it, so it was like all these things.
Right, and so I mean, here's a guy. I'm not naming names, but there's certain other Indian actors who are like, I'm only going to play these kind of roles where I'm the hero.
Right.
Right. Yep. There's so many actors that I can't really imagine playing a guy so shy that he literally passes out. The girl he loves touches him. Like, right. That's not necessarily super macho, super manly. So, and I just, it just has my whole heart. Like, I don't know. Like,
I know.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, when we were talking about this movie, I'm like, yes, his character, there's things that are frustrating. Like, there's so many parts. And really, Trisha's character almost wants to do this too. Like, you just want to grab him and shake him. Like, why?
It's like, dude, snap out of it.
Dude, have a family.
How long has it been? I mean, it just seemed like, firstly, it's very soulfulized. I mean, he just seems like a guy who is in charge. I felt like, in a way, I thought his performance was really, really good and sensitive. I really liked his performance. But I also felt like he wasn't quite right to me for this role because this is a guy who is not going to be this guy. It just didn't. I was waiting. So throughout the movie, I kept waiting for him to finally come into his own, like to throw off the teenager, immaturity, to approach this woman. And even if they don't get together, to be a mature adult about it. But he never does. I feel like he always.
It was fascinating seeing the beginning of the film again because they established the beginning of the film. First of all, director Prem Kumar was a cinematographer first, and then this was his feature director debut. And this film was also so popular that it was remade in Telugu called Janu. And Samantha Prabhu, I could love her, see her playing Trisha's role, but I am like so like blinders about Vijay being, Rama, that it was like, there's no way. I'm like, I can't. I'm not watching. Like, I'm sorry.
I mean, even with my frustration, it would be hard to top him. I mean, when he's playing this, I believed it, but I really wanted him to evolve. I wanted his character to evolve, and it just doesn't.
What's interesting to me is, again, seeing the beginning, and he's so masterful in his job. Like,
I love that.
He's so adventurous.
The adventurous wildlife photographer.
He's going, scuba diving. He's He's,
Yeah.
going in thunderstorms. He's going to the desert and sandstorms. He's doing all
Yeah.
of these things.
Teaching
And he's
photography
also
classes.
teaching this class.
Yeah.
And he's masterful with his students
So good.
and so completely in command and a great mentor to them.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it is sort of the thing, like sometimes when you go back to a place of your childhood, or if you go back home,
Yes.
in your own home, you fall back into patterns from when you were a kid. Like I
Yeah.
definitely felt that for a long time of I'm back in my mom's
Yeah.
house, and I don't know, like maybe you bicker with your siblings in the same way.
Yeah.
You expect your mom to do certain things for you when you're an adult, and you should do them. I don't know, you know what I mean? And I sort of felt like that's what happened to him. Like
Yeah. Good point.
he had avoided going back, and here he was by serendipity because the young student driving him takes him through his hometown, and then he's pointing out, and he goes over to the school, and all the memories flood back.
Yeah.
And then he reconnects with his classmates. Here in the States, they're kind of official reunions, and it's sort of like this seems like, oh, real? It's going to be 20 years. We should do something like it.
I loved the setup. I loved them texting each other. That was one of my favorite scenes. First of all, the openings were so strong. First of all, seeing him as a photographer, connecting with his friends, and everyone's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And they kept texting each other, and that was an amazing scene. I loved the way they brought like 96 to the future in a way, like we're texting each other, we're getting together. That was a great scene. I was very hopeful at that point.
Yeah, I love the friends. I loved all of those characters.
They were all great, very
friends.
understanding.
Yeah, and I love that they know Janu and Ram so deeply that they're afraid of what will happen when they see each other at the reunion. I mean, I just love how they're even like they're all at the reunion. Yeah. One woman is phoning another guy because she's just like,
they're like, "Where is it? Where is it? Is she coming? When's she gonna get here?" Like they're all ready. Like, where is he? What's happening?
Are you looking at this? Are you seeing this?
It's so cute. I mean, and that's where I was like, okay, this is his chance to make it good, because he did not make it great, super great. I mean, they did fall in love, but as little kids, but he didn't make a great impression because, like you said, he faints when he sees her. When she touches him, he's fainting. And I love the heartbeat thing. They have the heart pounding, he's pounding faster, cracks, falls down. So you're like, okay, this is his chance to be, in charge and pull it off. And what happens?
Well, I also love a feisty heroine. And
I loved her. She was great.
I felt like the young teen actors did a really great job.
Really good.
I don't have their names on the tip of my tongue, but especially the young girl playing Janu as a teen. Yeah. She was feisty. She had all this personality. She was, like she was just the kind of girl that I love seeing in movies, and just she was so great. I like the scene where all the friends are like holding him down, like she wants to talk to you, like don't run away. Oh my!
He's like, she's coming. He runs the other way. So funny.
They're literally holding right before he faints. They're literally like 3 people holding him in place, like just
so funny. It was very cute.
Like, accept another chocolate from her. Oh my god!
It's like, just do it, dude. Come on.
Okay.
You have a green light all the way.
People will not believe it now, but when I was a teen, I was extremely shy. Like, I mean, people do change over time because I am not the same person that I was in high school when I was
you should not
paralyzed by fear to talk to people. There's no way that I could have, I kind of stalked from a distance boys that I had a crush on or whatever, but it was definitely, I can sympathize with his extreme shyness. Okay. Yep. But
me too.
When we see him as an adult, and then we see the reunion makes all these feelings come up again.
Yeah.
And the fact that he is still that shy boy inside. Like he's moved on in professional life. He's so accomplished. He's kind of the famous one that it seems like all of his friends are like, oh my God, he's going to show up at the reunion. What?
It's a big deal. Yeah. Yeah.
The chemistry, like I've seen Trish, the lead actress in so many films. She's of course in the recent Pontiac and Selvin 1 and 2, amazing, as a princess. I think this is actually one of my favorite roles of hers because she still has that spunk. Like I love that the young girl is still there, but she has polish now, right? Like she is, you can see she's a worldly woman. She's traveled. She's lived in Singapore. Like she's a mother. Like she had confidence as a teen. She still has it, but she has this polish to her now, right? But she still has this connection. And then when the secrets come out that she accidentally told him to go away when he came to visit her at the college, and she just breaks down. Like my life could have gone this other direction, and it's my fault. I mean, it was really all of these misconnections, right? Multiple different ones. But she just like completely collapses because you see that her life is okay.
Yeah.
And what does she talk about at the reunion? She talks about her daughter. She shows off a picture of her daughter. She does not show off a family picture with her husband.
Oh, we never see the husband.
We never see the husband. No. We never hear his name. It's just her high school friends are terrified that they're going to get in trouble if her husband finds out that something happened with Ramachandran. So like, so that's sort of is this some powerful guy that would be a threat? Like, I mean, it's just sort of implied, but nothing overt or anything.
Right.
You just sort of see that her life is just okay. And that things happened because her sister had a love marriage, and then she got married off so quickly that she really couldn't do anything about it. And so she's obviously, well off that she could do a spur of the moment flight from Singapore, whatever.
Yeah, she looks successful. Yeah.
But you can see that she knows what her life, if she could have been with a man that she truly loved, this man that she truly loved, her life would have been completely different. To him, to me, are very interesting. Like she kept looking for him at the reunion, then he faints. Like she kind of wants to. She doesn't assume that he would still have feelings for her, right? But
or have waited. That was the other weird thing. He has not had any love in his life at all. And she even is like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Yeah, I mean,
seriously. Like she was upset.
She asked him if she. One of my favorite scenes was she asked him, like, "Are you seriously telling me you're a virgin?"
And he was like, it was kind of that classic, like, no, yes. No. It was, and I didn't buy it. I just didn't. I'm like, no, I'm not. This.
I could buy it. I could buy it.
I mean, I felt like this guy somewhere in his life had to have met someone. I mean, I get what they're trying to posit in the film. I get it. He has his one life and all that, his love of his life and all that. But through all of what he's done and accomplished, all the stuff that he's doing, I just felt like it was kind of a disservice to the character to make him that lame. And so, I just, with all he'd done, it just felt like a little contrived that he would not have even had sex with anyone by then. So I get like maybe not in love with someone or married, but I don't know. That was a little frustrating to me because I feel like these are grown adults. And I get like as you're growing up and your kids.
Right, and she's saying to him, "You're 38 years old. What
seriously?
Do you mean? I mean, he has gray hair.
Yeah,
like she takes him to the barbershop. She wants him to look like he did when.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. He needed that, and I thought, okay, here we are.
People in India are not going to get. He looked like Grizzly Adams. Like I mean,
I still liked it. I like a man with a beard, but
like a man with a beard. But I mean,
like
she had to get rid of the gray, the whole thing.
Yeah, and the beard was part of his. I feel like part of his camouflage, his beard, hiding himself.
Wait, did you notice what was the shirt that he wore to the reunion? He wore a camouflage shirt.
That's right, a camouflage. Very good point. And when he was all his photography, his whole life was set up alone. His photography is out there alone. You never see him with anyone. So his whole life, he has manufactured to make sure he is always alone. Except for the class, and make sure everyone's underage at that point. So it's like he basically just made sure he couldn't find anyone at that point. You're going to do photography.
He's always traveling. We don't. Yep. He doesn't really explain, but there was. I mean, the reason they had to leave their town when he was in high school.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
his father had money trouble. You don't know. Was it that their situation was still not financially good enough for him to get a bride when he would have been more of that age? Like it's unclear. Right. But at a certain point, he was successful enough,
right,
that he could have but he never did. I mean, but he's just hiding. He, like you say, he's hiding in this professional. Well, I'm always traveling. I can't connect with anybody.
Right.
I'm always.
No one can even see my face. I have so much hair. No one can see it. So I'm invisible. I know. It was so funny.
The bangs and all. Yeah.
So I loved he sold it with the performance, but again, like you said, I wanted to shake him and go, dude, wake up. Seriously. Not only have you wasted your whole life by not allowing yourself to find love or even anyone to connect with at all, you're even letting the girl you want to be with blowing her off by being so lame. Like, he wouldn't talk to her, he'd looking down. And I'm like, I thought it was really strange too when she walks over to him at the reunion and he's just kind of standing there awkwardly looking at nothing.
He's so overcome that he can't even speak.
I was like, what's he looking at? Like, what is he doing over there? Like, he's just sort of standing. It felt really weird to me. I get he went off by himself.
Mode. I think he was odd. I think he was, I mean, the director was probably trying to match the teen performance of Shyness, and that in that moment he was that teen boy again. You know, I can't, you know, here he is, successful photographer, world renowned, and he sees this girl, this woman, and he's tongue tied and he can't. And I loved, again, seeing it, you know, this time, watching how he opens up over the course of the night. You know, they just have this limited amount of time. She doesn't want to sleep. She just wants to spend the time with him. And seeing him open up over the course of the night. I mean, the one time they're walking down this empty street and I saw him, like, he almost gets too close that they might have brushed arms, and he like kind of leaps away. Like, he's so conscious of keeping that distance. There's certain scenes where her wedding necklace is visible, and he even kind of does this when she's sleeping, like, oh my God, I looked at her the wrong way, like, I'm sorry.
It's like, I didn't mean to do it.
I mean, did you notice the picture that was over his bed? It's the school
I don't
picture.
remember what it was. Oh, yeah, you're right. It was a school photo. That's right.
I mean, he had that blown up. Their high school picture was over his bed.
Oh, my God.
You know, I mean, so that's in his private bedroom. You know, his front living room is filled with actually a lot of religious art, you know, things that he had picked up on all of his travels. You can see things from all over the world.
It looked like a museum. Like, his apartment looked like, and almost like he was giving her a tour of the museum. He's like, want to come to my place? And it was kind of like, well, finally, look who's becoming like a real man here. Look at this. And so when she's like, what? He goes, no, not like that. And I'm like, ah. So then they go to his apartment and I'm like, where the hell? Like, he starts like moving her through all this beautiful, like, antique, you know, and beautiful, like you said, like, you know, religious, you know, statues and all that. And it looked like a beautiful museum. I'm like, you know what? He kind of is just encased himself as an artifact in his own life. Like, he's not moving forward. Well, he's frozen in time.
He shows her the suitcase of all of his
and then we get to that. Right.
His really precious objects are in the suitcase. The shirt that he wore that she sprinkled the ink.
I love that scene. Don't forget me. She throws this ink at his shirt that won't come out, which I loved that. That was like, oh, and he kept it. It was very cute.
Yeah, I've definitely seen in other scenes, I think people like kind of autograph the last day of school on a shirt, and then that becomes a keepsake. But here she was like, I'm not even going to do that.
She just splattered it. Don't forget. And he was like just staring at her, shell shocked, like, okay.
I hear everything that you're saying. And at his character, I also want to shake. And like, if I knew this guy in real life, I would be like, dude. I would be like Trish in that scene. I'd be like, give me your data. I'm going to put you out. I'm going to put you out there. I'm going to find a girl for you.
Yep.
Right. And you can see the one girl student. Okay. Again, that's not appropriate, but.
The one girl was really into him. Yeah.
She's super into him.
Yeah.
Completely oblivious.
And he's just
was oblivious to the girl in college who was like, hey, my dad's looking for a bride, you know, for a husband for me. Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's nice. Like, so many green lights. This guy just couldn't go through them. Just couldn't do it.
So, it's frustrating, but I find the film so beautiful. I find the cinematography so beautiful.
Yeah.
And his performance, yes, I'm frustrated with him as a man. And if maybe part of it is, okay, I'm going to tell a tale. So my husband, extremely painfully shy when we met. I thought So we worked at a summer job in college together. He was an astrophysics major, so we were at a physics lab called Fermi Lab, and he went to Harvard. So I just thought he was super arrogant because he just like, had this standoffish. But in effect, he'd never had a girlfriend. He was shy. He was not necessarily arrogant in thinking he was better than the rest of us. He was
shy.
Right.
It comes off like that sometimes because they remove themselves and they look like they're like observing.
Yeah. My college boyfriend at the time had said, "Oh, during the summer we should see other people." So I was like,
"Oh, that's nice."
Yeah. So I was determined.
I'm going to meet my husband now.
So I pounced on my now husband like a tiger. I'm just going to say, I'm eating it with him because he's never had a girlfriend. So I sort of get
you
that.
You made the first move.
I totally made the first move. Yeah. And so I can get that dynamic of somebody is so shy.
Yeah.
They have absolutely no game. They don't know what to do. They're oblivious. They're just and so that's him, but he also has all this life experience now.
He's also almost 40.
He's almost 40. But
and it just there's things I liked about too. Like it reminded me, what was that film about the two people meet in France and it's just them going through the city for one day and it's just them talking. I think it's Sunset or something.
That's the one with Ethan Hawke.
Yes, Ethan Hawke. Kind of before Sunset or something. Yeah, it kind of gave me the idea where we have this framework of like these two people meet up at these two, childhood, sweethearts meet up at this thing, and we have this time frame where they have to get to know each other again and what's going to happen. So I loved the idea of this sort of sensitive conversations they're having that weren't about like, I love you, I love you. They kept that out of it. We didn't hear any of that. So they're getting to know each other. They're trying to break through. They're finding out the regrets, that terrible scene where he comes to see her, sends a friend in to tell her, and she thinks it's the stalker who's standing by the gate they're talking about. She goes, "No, I'm not going down there." So you're just like, oh, but at the same time, I'm like, do people really not communicate at all? Like, did you really, he didn't like give her one phone call to that. She didn't call him after that. Like, I just felt like she just sort of blew him off anyway, like regardless of whether he was the stalker or not.
I mean, I mean, in another, like you say, in another mode, he's a stalker. Like he was at her wedding.
Right. That's right. And you find out he was at the wedding. She's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one, and she goes, I really wish you'd done this and that.
He's like, then I had to run out when it was actually the ceremony, he couldn't take it. I mean, he wanted to see her and her as a bride. I mean, she's like, oh, you don't really know me. And then he starts like, well, this is the score that you got your junior year. And this is, I'm like, oh my God.
I know, it started going off in a direction where I'm like, now he's really getting unattractive to me. Not only is he completely, utterly passive in everything that comes to do with women at all, not only is that, he's being a stalker and like learning all about her and still seems surprised when he sees her, even though he's been keeping up with her and seeing her and going to her wedding. And it was a little frustrating. There wasn't more, I feel like, closure. It felt like sort of these people that missed and they missed again and then they missed. And like, so this whole movie is about people who missed the boat, chased the boat a little bit, ran side by side in the boats, and then missed it again. It was a little frustrating experience.
To me, again, watching it again, noticing more details.
Yeah.
One thing that was fascinating to me is when the schoolgirls find them at midnight at the restaurant.
Right.
And they're like, oh my God, you're married? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were super pretending.
Like, please tell us how he proposed.
That was a great scene.
And the tale that she weaves, she retells that day.
Yeah.
But even the young actor who is playing the college age Vijay, character.
Yeah.
When it's from his point of view, the guy, but then in her point of view, he was like a macho hero.
Yeah, he was very confident.
Like when she's telling the story and we're seeing that sequence again, and that he forcefully comes up and talks to her.
Yeah. Like
he is the man in that dream. That's the man that she wished that he could have been, that he never was.
Yeah, and never was.
That he did tell her he beat up her stalker or whatever because he realized that was happening to her.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, she wished he could have been that assertive.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. I'm telling you my feelings. And he never was that person.
That's right.
So I thought that was interesting because
That
all
was
those
very
things
interesting.
were wrapped up in his fantasy of his love for this this first love that got away.
That's right.
And it was interesting how we were able to flip it and
Yeah.
see what she wished it had been. You
Yeah,
know,
that was a great scene. And I also love where the friend goes back down there and goes, "You probably should have just told her yourself." Yes, you should have just told her yourself. Ah. And so this whole time, no one ever reverses the damage that was done. They just give up.
yeah,
And that was
yeah.
very frustrating too. It's like,
Yeah, on the one
ah,
hand, though, he's maybe he's again not sure of himself and like,
yeah.
okay, she wants me to go away. I'm never going to bother her again. Then,
Well, then why did
right,
she bother him? She didn't. See, the thing is, I feel like she didn't seem like the shrinking violet. I feel like she would have gone
right,
and found him regardless. Like, I feel like she would have found him and said, "Hey, what?" The fact she remained passive in that situation also was kind of like, yeah. I mean, I'll go ahead and go with the contrivance of the movie that that
they couldn't
they
have been Facebook friends. I mean, come on, this was right.
what, they
Like
don't have a phone. They can't write letters. I mean, so I felt a little frustrated that that never happened. And then I understand like she's already married. She's come all this way, but you could feel the chemistry. The chemistry was
yeah,
really
oh my
well
God,
done. I love the
that's okay.
sensitivity of the relationship was great. I thought it was really sad that we never got her even being. I know it would make her a bad person, but he was the right person for her technically. But I guess by the time it ended, the way it ended, I'm like, she dodged a bullet. Not the right man for her. It's too
Mm,
passive, way too passive. Like this guy would not do anything to do anything for her. I feel like he should have done more for her. If she was really the love of his life, he could have done more and he didn't. And I understand the passive and the shyness but you're 18 then. You're 20 then. What happens when you're 40? Come on. So
yeah.
it was I there was a lot I loved about it. I loved him, loved her. I loved the them walking and
I mean,
learning and
in one
talking. It
sense,
felt very
I
real.
loved. I feel like there's so many love stories, and we feel like we're
Yeah.
not ever seeing anything new. And I
Mhm.
felt like on one hand, this was something different. I mean, we've seen the first love thing before, but for it
Yeah.
to end and they're not together, okay, first of
Yeah.
all, that's kind of bold, right?
Yeah.
Like they could have set up this story. She's a widow, right? She has this
Yeah.
daughter,
That's
whatever.
true.
She's a widow, and then it could have been a very different kind of love story, right? That they finally get back together. They have this
I don't think
night.
they would either though. I don't think he'd ever make the first move.
I don't know. She still, I mean, look at how she didn't want to. Like she obviously loved her daughter, wanted to
Yeah.
go back for her daughter, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she was just like the fact that he said, "I bought a ticket so we can have a
I
few
know.
more
I was
months."
like, here's their chance.
Except like, and notice how he never reaches out to touch her, but she touches him. Like
Yeah.
if the one conversation they have in her hotel room, I don't remember exactly what he had confessed, and
Yeah.
she reaches over and grabs his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love the
Mm-hmm.
she grabs his hand, she grabs a stick shift so for him to continue
That was
driving.
very cute. So they're kind of holding hands, but not. It was very sweet. I
Right,
like that.
right.
Mhm.
Like he couldn't escape from her forcing him to touch her in that moment.
Right.
So there were so many little beautiful moments, and
Yeah.
especially the performances of the two leads
So
is
good.
why this film is so special to me. I
Mhm.
don't have this romanticism about first love. Like
Yeah.
I see this so much in Korean dramas. I see this
Yeah.
so much in Indian film that you just have this one love that you meet in childhood, and that's
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
I shared with
No.
I shared with Kathy before, like the guy I went to my high school prom, he now has 7 kids, and I'm like, oh my God, I dodged the bullet on that one.
I think one of my first loves is in jail now. I don't know. This people you just do not need to see again.
Okay, I suppose I'm my husband's first love, so there's that.
Oh yeah, that's true. You could be the first
You
love. That's
know,
okay. You can be the first love.
because I did break up with him to go back with my old boyfriend when I went back to school.
Oh,
Because I mean, like, yeah, because I mean, who wants a long distance relationship? He's going to be in
that's
Boston. I'm going to be
true.
in Illinois. I'm like, who
What's a
needs
girl to
that?
do? You could just like get a career in photography and pretend like you have no life. You could do that.
Yeah. Well, we were back together by Thanksgiving break, so you know.
All you had to do is go, yeah, this guy isn't working
Yeah, so
out.
that's why, like, when my kids have had long distance relationships with their significant others, I
Yes.
couldn't say, yeah, your dad and I just had our 30th wedding anniversary, but it'll never work.
So funny. I know. So I can't tell you you're too young because, all right,
Yeah.
definitely. Oh,
So,
that's so
but
cute.
I don't have that. And I don't know why it is a fixation for certain writers and content creators that is just the be all end all, that your
Yeah.
first love is your only love. Like,
Yeah.
I don't buy that.
Mm,
So I don't, but I still find this film beautiful, the way it's made.
yeah.
Same director directed the remake in Telugu. But like
Hmm.
I said,
Yeah.
I'm just so enamored with Vijay's performance that I'm like, I don't want to see some pale imitation. Like, no.
Was the guy? So I haven't seen I don't know who the actor was. You mentioned, I think, who played him in the remake. Did
I
that
think
kind of
Sure
passiveness?
Wand. I
Did
don't
they
know.
fix any of those problems in the
I
second
mean,
film?
I mean, the actress Samantha Prabhu, she was in Super Deluxe.
Oh, okay.
She was Fahad Fazl's wife in that film. So if
Oh,
you
that was
haven't
great.
seen
Yeah.
another film with her, so she definitely has played feisty characters where
Okay.
I could completely see her being Trish, but I'm just like, somebody but DJ. I'm sorry. Like,
Sorry, but you cannot do the original. I can't. It
and
works in
I
real
just,
life and
I love him and I love his range and I love that he's willing, like I said, to take a part like this where he's not a macho man, right?
yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it seems crazy to be like, I admire you for this, but I do, because within Indian
Mhm.
cinema it is not necessarily the norm,
That's right.
right?
That's
If
right.
you're someone who is a super successful actor, especially actor, it's because you're taking on super macho hero roles.
SRK.
And
No, I'm sorry. Did I say
Vijay,
SRK? I didn't say SRK, did I? Okay, go ahead.
I was thinking some more in the South actually, but
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
that okay. There's a bunch of those too.
he's willing to be villains, and he's an awesome villain. Oh my god, he's
Yeah,
like
he's
he's
so
so
good.
incredibly menacing, and part of it is his physical presence.
Yeah.
Vijay Sethupathi just, he can be so incredibly menacing, but
Mhm.
he can add shades to it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
know if you saw Vikram Veda.
Oh yeah, of
There-
course. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
again, like he's a villain,
So good.
badass, but
What? Oh, was he?
Yay.
I don't know who was the villain in that movie.
With the layers, right? Exactly.
There
Like
were
at the
so many.
beginning, you're like, he is, but then you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know who's the villain. Let's just figure it out. I think my main thing is, I think by the end of this movie, I felt like it was hopeless. I felt I was left with
Mm.
hopelessness. I felt like
I cried at the end.
I
Yeah.
I cried because he got nothing. He's got nothing. He's never
I
gonna
think he
have
did, but
anything.
he did.
I felt like he was left now without anything to do.
Well, I think both of them did get closure, because maybe they always wondered, he got closure that she did still have feelings for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't that she hated him when she was in college, right?
Right.
Like, he
Right.
thought it was completely one-sided. She had no feelings for him, or she got over him right away and it was just him. And so he did learn
He can
that
move on.
she felt just as deeply about him
Mhm.
at that time and wanted him to rescue her. Maybe he will examine himself, saying, what if I could have been that active, not passive person? And maybe he will make changes of the next thing, because she made the choice to go back. Like that,
That's right.
we close the suitcase, that closes that chapter,
I
that
actually
memory is put away.
That's a good point. By closing the suitcase, I feel like, okay, he's moved on from that relationship. That maybe now he can move on to a new relationship because he's kind of like, okay, suitcase
And
closed,
I
antiques put
sort of,
away.
I sort of feel like, I mean, they have this classmate WhatsApp. I sort of feel like Trisha's character is not going to let it go, and that she is going to be like, hey, who has somebody that we can fix him up with?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right. Because even in the moment, she, like, her feelings are
Yeah.
going all over the place, right?
Yeah.
But she's like, this cannot stand. He cannot be alone like this. He needs to
Yeah.
have
She goes,
a
I gotta
family.
fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like she's not going to let it go. When she goes back to Singapore, she's going to be blowing up WhatsApp and trying to figure out who can we fix him up with. And
She's gonna kill her husband, become a widow, and then she'll be able to. That's that's
okay,
the kind of crime element of the next film. Part 2, when she kills her husband.
I don't know. I mean, yes, it's wistful, it's sad. Like I just have all these emotions from watching it, but
Yeah.
mostly I feel like it's just so the performances are so beautiful. But I totally
They
hear
are.
what you're saying about your frustration with the character, because you're just like, my
I'm just like, you
dude.
could have everything right now if you would just get out of your own head, if you would just hold her hand, if you would just. The thing is, I feel like by him missing all of her signals, by him not moving forward, by him not like taking a chance with her, he basically told her, "You're free to leave." That's
Mhm.
basically, go ahead and go, because I'll never make the first move. You will
I
always have to do
yeah,
that.
but I
I got
also
that
think
weird
there's
feeling.
I also think it's a conservative thing. Like, I kept thinking, if this was an American film, they would
Yeah.
have been in bed together, right?
At least for one
Her
night.
saying, "Come up here on that bed," would have had a
Yeah.
very
I
different
was like,
meaning.
now we're talking.
Very different meaning. There would at
Yeah.
least have been a soulful kiss goodbye or something.
One kiss would have been, I think one kiss would have made sense to me. Just that
But
final
he's so
kiss.
respectful of her as a married person. I'm like, I'm not going to ruin
I
anything
don't know
for
if he's even respectful. I think he just doesn't have the gumption to do
her.
it. He
How
doesn't
about
have,
doing this to
can't
her?
do anything. He's just doing this shit. And he's just like hiding in his car while she's there. So I feel
Yeah,
like he never, regardless of her marital status, I don't think he would ever make the first move. It would be up to her, and she didn't, and that's all he needed to know. He wasn't gonna. She's not gonna
well,
do it. So that was what was sad to
I
me. I
do
felt very
agree.
sad for him at the end.
I feel very sad for her because
I feel sad. Well,
she's dealing, also going back to, obviously she's not going to abandon her daughter, but she's going back and she's going to have to live the rest of her life, thinking even more
yeah,
of what could have been, what
yeah.
could have been.
That's right. She's, and that great scene where she realizes it and everything comes crashing down, and she realizes that misconnection there. I'm like, guys, seriously. It's like, you
Well,
didn't know. You still could have contacted him. You didn't know you did it. So,
I will say again, it's like Indian movies can send you on a roller coaster of emotions, and I
yeah.
feel like this is an example. There's no action in this movie.
No.
There's no, right, but it's just beautiful sentiments, and
Yeah.
I did go through this roller coaster of
Yeah.
emotions, right? Of him, she storms off, they get back, and then and then we have
Yeah.
these revelations, and oh my god, like I
Oh.
literally, like, it just makes me cry, just
Yeah.
I went through it all, and it's kind of rare for a Hollywood film to make me feel
That's
all of
right.
those feelings.
That's
You know
right.
what
I
I
mean,
mean?
maybe it's my conditioning with the Hollywood films where I'm expecting this to happen a certain way, and when it didn't, I mean, I still had very strong feelings about it. This is the magic of this film. Like, regardless of whether I agreed with how he was acting, it's still, I was very caught up in them. I want them to do this. I cared about the characters. I wanted them to be together. I wanted him to make his move. I wanted him to show her that he could be that man for her, and he didn't do it. But that's maybe me and my Western, like, the man, he's got to do something. He's got to make the grand gesture. He has to show her he would love her and do, but he didn't, and it's frustrating. But I cared, and that's what the movie did. Regardless of whether I agreed with what happened, it's like,
Right.
it's still, the movie did that, and I still am so glad I watched it because it's beautiful filmaking,
Beautiful
incredible
filmmaking.
performances. I just didn't. I was very frustrated with him.
So I did see a news article that this director, as I said, he's only done two films,
Oh,
96, and the Telugu remake Janu, and then but he
nice.
has recently signed on to do Karti's next film. Now Karti is the
Oh,
actor from, again, Ponniyin Selvan, our favorite
mhm.
lovable rogue,
That's right. He was so cute in that.
and Amazing and Kaiti and other things. So
Oh,
I have no idea of what genre. I think it's a village setting because they said some filming had already been done at a real one of those bull riding festivals.
okay. Oh, okay. Like
So
Kantara.
or water buffalo riding, whatever. Anyway, they some kind of village festival. They had gone and done
Okay.
some footage of a real festival
Oh,
to
okay.
include in the meeting. So I don't know that filming with Carti has happened yet until probably he's done with all these
Ah,
promotions for Sunny and Pelvin. But that is exciting.
that is exciting. I
I
would
mean,
love to see him in a film.
the bottom line is whatever this movie is about, even if it was a Saw horror film,
If he did a horror film, I'd still watch it.
I'd still watch it. I'd still watch it because
It's okay. It would be a killer who's not actually able to kill. That's what
it
it would
would
be
be
about.
very beautiful. All the scenes would be the
It would
blood,
be
and
very
everything
beautiful.
would be very beautiful because
Every victim would get away.
I don't know, but I feel like this director, he has a cinematographer's eye, and
Yes.
it's just beautiful filmmaking.
Yes. It was really good.
The visual storytelling, and I think you and I don't get the nostalgia. Like if you see the poster, the two numbers, because they're from the class of 96, the numbers are filled with all sorts of little, there it is. It's filled with all sorts of little things.
I love this.
I think it's brilliant. But it's filled with all sorts of little things that are not necessarily, touchstones for you and I, So
I like the cassette tape.
Cassette tape, right.
And then they used it again in here. And the posters are very accurate because it has them separated. They're always separated. He's like kind of ignoring her and she's looking at him, but he's not making any move. He's oblivious. And then we have like kind of this, where he's looking down, not looking at her again. This is more of a
showing that this is the 100 days. So this shows that this was in theaters for 100 days, which is an amazing accomplishment.
Really good. Then we have a little bit of this, like, him in her head.
Again, look at him. All of these, he's looking down.
He's never looking. Yeah, there's no eye contact with us or her. So it's a nice poster design because they're bringing that separation even into the print art. So they capture the whole context of the film, or he's just not seeing her.
I did think it was interesting the first time they go into the hotel room, like they're sitting on the floor together.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like they're kids again, right? Like there was furniture there that they could have sat. They didn't have to sit on the same couch.
Who wants to do that?
Right. Like they're sitting on the floor. I'm like, okay.
And it's kind of funny. You mentioned that. And she goes, here, get on the bed. He resists because he wants to be like a kid on the floor, sleep on. And it's like, if you get on the bed, it'll be like a grown up and sit on the and I love that you kind of get in the mix. He's like, oh, get on the bed. Whoa. And when he does, it's like, what, like you said, what's your email? That was kind of a fun little defying expectation. Like he needed that.
There's so many little things like that he had ordered coffee from her hotel.
Yep.
And he masterfully deals with the guy bringing in the coffee, the waiter coming, right? Mm-hmm. But then immediately turns around and he's back to like,
I know. I was like, this is a chance. Nope.
I don't know. It's just showing how like these two parts of his life haven't gelled together, right?
Like when it comes to her,
maybe they will.
Yeah. When it comes to her, he's never going to grow up.
When it comes to her, he's still that
little kid,
whatever, a 15 or 16-year-old kid that can't.
It's so sad. It's so sad. I'm hoping by closing that suitcase, he can move on to that student.
Okay, I don't know if I want him to date a student. Maybe somebody.
Well, they were college students, so
Okay, but still.
She was a little young. He can find
a little
someone.
bit. Maybe, maybe she can graduate and move on, and then he can. I have a little.
Maybe her mom.
With that.
I don't know. Her mom might be old now.
I don't know. You know what? I just hope somebody fixes him up with somebody, and he's open to it.
Exactly. He could be a catch. You just gotta be open to it.
You look at him and you can see this guy would be a great dad. Like, come on.
Great. He's gonna be great. Just keep that beard shaved off.
I can't remember which movie it was, but Vijay Sethupath's son had a little cameo in one of those recent films.
Oh, that's funny.
Looks just like him. And then there was some behind the scenes showing him with his little 10-year-old kid. And I'm like, I knew he was a good dad.
See, you are a good dad in real life. It's only in the movies that you're a big wimp.
All right. So I have a question for your viewers. If anybody knows, what are Vijay Sethupathi's upcoming projects? What should I be excited about?
Yeah.
What should we be looking out for that he's coming up next? Because he just has, this film was such a sensation and it's so different from some of his other works he's done. Yeah. Really interesting, almost cameo performances and Malayalam cinema and other places. Yeah. So I would love to know, what have you heard about in the press that we should be excited about for him? Because basically, if he's in a movie, I'm there.
That's right. Like, tell us more movies we should watch that he's in. Like, I have backing. I'm catching up to do in his back catalog. So, well,
you've already seen some of the big
I've
ones.
seen a lot of the good ones.
I would have
Super
suggested,
Deluxe.
Vikram Veda is a great one, and Super Deluxe is amazing. So.
Loved it. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's not my favorite." I'm like, "How can it not be your favorite?"
I just said the perfect movie that we need to watch together. Okay, one of his earliest roles is a horror film.
Oh, perfect. Pizza. Someone was telling, a bunch of people were commenting, telling me to watch Pizza. And I keep meaning to watch that next. Now I have a reason.
I I could barely get through it. It was so scary, kid.
Oh, scary! It's called pizza.
Yeah, and he's a pizza delivery man who
Is he a killer? Is he a
no,
murderer?
no, he kind of gets caught in a haunted house kind of a situation. So I
Ooh.
haven't seen it for a long time. It was so scary.
Now
Okay,
I'm
well,
dying to see it.
that's the next one that we have to watch together.
We are going to do pizza next. All right.
And also just because you're going to be like, oh my God, he's a baby.
I don't even recognize him. He's so young.
He's so young in pizza. So yeah, it's an
So
awesome horror film.
Cool.
I'm surprised
All right, that's
I
it.
told you about it before, but yeah.
I have my walking, and I feel bad because we have been getting suggested to recover that and to watch it. So this will be perfect if we watch it because you've seen it. You need to watch it again to see if it's still scary.
I know.
You're like, I'm not watching it again.
No. I have to have my husband hold my hand or something.
Does he like horror movies?
No.
Oh, but he likes Dungeons and Dragons. He should like that.
I know. But I mean, I just, like I said, horror is not really our thing. But if it's Vijay Sethupathi, like I said, even if he was in a Saw kind of movie, I probably would watch it. So
wouldn't that be funny? If he became the next Saw guy, you'd be like, oh God, now I have to watch this. All right, you guys.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Kathy. Bye.